Spaniels with Dr. Judy.
I got no dogs. Yay, Friday. It's the same as every other day around here, though. I kept thinking yesterday was Wednesday. It was Thursday. I lost a day.
Remember, you can purchase all of Dr. Morgan's products at her website at
Snowy Canada.
www.drjudymorgan.com. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hey, I got it before it went on repeat. It's going to be a good day. Okay, morning everyone. Supporters, don't forget that tonight we have an Ask Me Anything at 7 p.m. Apparently I was in a cat mood today because I got a cat shirt and a cat mug. So, hey, consistency. Snowstorm headed your way in Vermont. Nice for Christmas, but it can leave January 1st. Yeah, we'll be in North Carolina for Christmas. We're going to get very well used to that trip up and down the highway because we're going down for 4 or 5 days at Christmas and then coming back, and then a week and a half after that. The moving truck is going to be here, so fun and games. So my American Veterinary Medical Association email yesterday, the day before, said that the House of Delegates is going to take up the discussion on when they should recommend spay and neuter in dogs and cats. And it's really interesting. You would think that veterinarians would pay attention to what the AVMA decides with these things and what they put on their website. However, the AVMA has had on their website under the vaccines and vaccination standpoint that the core vaccines, distemper, hepatitis, parvovirus, should not be given any more often than every 3 to 5 years, yet 60% of the veterinarians still push those vaccines annually. So I'm not sure how much the veterinarians actually pay attention to this stuff anyway, but I'm glad that they're at least having the discussions. The AVMA also has a statement on there that says they are against raw feeding and that should not be promoted. But the veterinarians are very much on top of that one. So I guess you get to pick and choose which ones you want to believe in, which ones you want to follow. But they are taking up the discussion on when we should be recommending spay and neuter. And the email that I received was from our 2 New Jersey delegates. And the New Jersey delegates basically said, well, with the studies, very good studies that we have, particularly there was one in Rottweilers and there was one in Golden Retrievers a few years back, that showed that leaving dogs, at least large breed dogs, Goldens and Rotties, intact seemed to have some protective effect against cancers, osteosarcoma, hemangiosarcoma, against orthopedic diseases like hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, and seemed to be better overall for the health and longevity of the dogs. So for years, ever since I graduated, so we're going back to the early 80s, veterinarians have recommended that we spay and neuter before the first heat cycle for the dog. And so that would be by 6 months of age. And that has been the standard forever. And now we've got shelters and rescue groups saying they will not adopt puppies out unless they're already spayed and neutered. So then we got into the whole, let's spay and neuter everybody at 6 and 8 weeks of age. And I think it's good that they're opening up the discussion and perhaps going to change their recommendation. However, in the email, it also said, well, we have to balance this out with population control. The problem is we just need responsible pet owners would be really awesome. But there's a lot who are not, so that creates problems as well. But they paid attention to the DCM and raw feeding. Yeah, you know why? Big money from those big pet food companies that were behind pushing that whole thing. So you got to follow the money trail on a lot of these things, but I don't think there's a big money trail behind this spay neuter thing, unless places like the shelter medicine groups, they don't have a lot of money to put behind lobbying, so they probably won't. Humane Society does, so maybe they will. I don't know. But from my own personal experience, what we started doing in my clinics over the past few years was recommending that responsible pet owners leave their boys intact unless they have huge behavioral challenges or something that they cannot control, and not spaying their female dogs until they've gone through a couple of heat cycles, that they're fully mature, that their bones have finished growing, the growth plates are closed. So for most dogs, that's going to be between 18 and 24 months of age is when we were recommending. And it was a challenge for some pet owners who had never had a female dog go through a heat cycle and they didn't know what to expect. So we did a lot of education around that. Now, with all that said, I am only talking about dogs. Cats are not small dogs. They are a totally different creature. And I had a good reminder of that this week with a consultation for a cat with mammary cancer. Cats that go through multiple heat cycles and are not spayed or neutered until they're older have a much higher risk of developing mammary cancer. We don't see that so much in dogs. We don't have good proof in dogs. There was one study out of England that refuted that completely and said that dogs that were not spayed did not have a higher risk of mammary cancer, that they couldn't really prove it. There have been other studies that indicate that perhaps there is a higher risk of mammary cancer in dogs that are left intact longer. Testicular cancer in dogs is actually more prevalent in dogs that are neutered than dogs that are intact. Intact males, we see benign prostatic hypertrophy, which is enlargement of the gland. But kitty cats do like to develop mammary cancers if they are left intact for years. And the mammary cancers in cats tend to be 95% malignant, whereas in dogs, it's a 50-50 chance. So I do recommend going ahead and getting your kitty cats spayed and neutered. But probably we don't need to be doing it at 6 months of age. If we're doing it closer to a year of age, let them finish growing. We don't see arthritis problems as often in cats, but I suspect there's a lot more arthritis in cats than what we realize, because cats are pretty good at hiding their pain. And they're much better at adjusting themselves. If you watch cats when they get up in the morning, they do the long stretch. They're adjusting their spine every time they do that. So for cats, I think we still should allow them to reach maturity. The second practice I worked in coming out of school, my boss at the time had a theory that male cats needed to develop to full maturity to decrease their chances of having urinary obstructions. So we did not neuter the boys until they were 10 to 12 months old. And I think that that's probably a good time space for our kitty cats to get spayed and neutered, probably 10 to 12 months of age. But the girls will go into heat before that. So no letting your girls in heat outside. Okay. I got to get going. Packing, all kinds of stuff going on. My cousin's coming over. We're giving away a bunch of stuff, so family members are coming over to get stuff. All right. And there's our builder on the phone. Hugh talks to him about 10 times a day. So Jerry says her vet says they do it at 6 months because it's an easier surgery at that age when it's smaller. I disagree. Now that I've done so many of them at after they've gone into heat, let me tell you, it is so much easier. Much easier to do the surgery then. And ovary sparing spay is available, but hard to find. If you're interested in that, that's for the dogs. So. To join supporters, all you have to do is on the Facebook page, under the top banner, there's a blue button that says Become a Supporter. Hit that. Okay, everybody have a wonderful day. Supporters, I'll see you tonight.